The Denver Police Department. The Denver Police Department arrest of Elijah Hood, 24-year-old Elijah Hood, for the Green Valley Ranch area murders of his aunt, 65-year-old Denise Hood, her grandson, 22-year-old Donne Allen Jr. Denise Hood, Elijah Hood. That means he killed his aunt. Is that what that means? Elijah Hood is a nephew to Denise Hood. Is that the great-grandson, 4-year-old Mekhi Parham Allen? He's going to get, allegedly killed by Elijah Hood. Donnie Allen Jr., 22-year-old, and Denise Hood, 65-year-old. Westward says it largely happened because of tips, one after another over a span of more than a week, according to the arrest affidavit in the case. The report's narrative begins 5:53 p.m., April 26, when the Denver Combined Communications Center received a call from a woman who said she'd walked into an apartment at 5959 North Dunkirk Street, found 3 people on the floor covered in blood. Upon their arrival, officers determined that all the victims were deceased and each had been shot multiple times. The cops also found what are described as numerous spent cartridge casings, specifically within the entryway, kitchen, and living room. Since there were no signs of forced entry, investigators quickly determined that the gunfire had erupted inside the apartment. Meanwhile, a witness told officers about seeing a gold-colored sedan parked near the building. After gunshots sounded, a black male wearing a black hoodie and black sweats raced to the car and took off. On the evening of April 27th, an anonymous tipster reached out to Denver police to offer information about a suspect known as EJ, who supposedly lived near the intersection of Hampden Avenue and Tamarack Street. Before long, detectives determined that the person in question was Elijah Jaquez Hood, who used EJ as a nickname. When he was contacted by law enforcement, he had a firearm despite previous convictions for robbery and theft that made possession of such a weapon illegal. Elijah was believed to be involved with several shootings, the affidavit said. Michael Roberts wrote this May 11th, 3 days ago. Elijah Hood's triple murder arrest, how tipsters turned against him. Westward. Westward.com. I like this website. A telephone found at the scene included a text message from EJ. His last communication had taken place at 2:14 p.m. on April 26, a few hours before the slayings. In it, EJ said he was not feeling well because he had smoked too much weed and would not be able to make it over. Another tip added more details about the connection between EJ and Allen, who were said to have recently traveled to Atlanta together, but Hood returned a few days early, presumably because the pair may have been fighting about something. The caller added that Hood was staying near the Alameda, Quebec area across from the cemetery. A subsequent check of vehicle registration showed that Hood owned a gold 2008 Chevy Impala sedan. More tips about Hood's alleged connection to the murders flowed into the DPD during the first week of May. Using this information, investigators were able to find a possible location for Hood that was confirmed by a witness who'd seen a vehicle matching the Impala's description in an adjacent carport. What happened next is largely redacted from the affidavit, but on the evening of May 8th, officers were convinced Elijah Hood was their man, and by the next day he was in custody. A GoFundMe page set up on behalf of Denise Hood, Donnie Allen Jr., and Mekhi Parham Allen bears an appropriate label, Family Tragedy. Its introduction reads, a beloved mother, grandmother, auntie, cousin, sister, friend. That was Miss Denise. On April 26, 2022, she lost her life as well as her grandson and 4-year-old great-grandson that she was raising and doing a wonderful job to a senseless crime. This is a woman who loved her family no matter what. She was a Christian woman who was living her life doing good to and for others. They did not deserve this. The family was in no way prepared for the loss of one family member, let alone three. So far, just over $8,000 have been pledged towards the goal of $10,000. And you can click to read the Elijah Hood arrest warrant. Here's another article. Police records reveal details leading up to Denver triple homicide by Alex Rose. Posted May 10th, 2022. Again, same, fucking guy. This motherfucking piece of shit, goddamn Elijah, Waukeez Hood. Elijah Hood. If that motherfucker is such a tough gangbanger, how come he was arrested without incident? Arrested without incident, right? When it came to, shooting up his family members, when it comes to, shooting up a little tiny kid, oh man, he's a badass gangbanger, right? Just a badass motherfucker just gonna shoot anybody and everybody. He don't give a fuck. Unless, of course, it's the police, and then, okay, sorry, sir, sorry, officer, I will gladly obey you. Just go ahead. Yes, sir, Bob. Tough gangbanger there, huh? Tough gangbanger. Look at that tough gang. You shot a 4-year-old, you fucking piece of shit. Shot a fucking 4-year-old. Oh my God. Allegedly, right? Allegedly. And I do want a little bit more confirmation because this is, a big... The shooting left 3 family members dead, including a 4-year-old boy at the East Range Crossings apartment complex in far northeast Denver. Police announced they arrested Elijah Hood on Monday, who faces 3 counts of first-degree murder. According to the arrest affidavit, the person who called 911 said she was dropped off for a celebration when she found all 3 victims dead in the apartment. When detectives arrived on the scene, they reported all 3 victims had multiple gunshot wounds. Multiple cartridge casings were found in the entryway, kitchen, and living room just beyond the front door, according to the affidavit. According to the affidavit, police observed no signs of forced entry. Believe the shooting started in the apartment. Multiple people left tips with Metro Denver Crime Stoppers, and anonymous tips to the Denver Police Department pointed to Hood as a suspect in the case. Hood is one of the victim's nephews. When investigators went through one of the victim's text messages, they found a back and forth with the contact named EJ on her phone. EJ is believed to be Hood's nickname, considering his middle name is Jaquez. Hood texted the victim on April 26 at 2:14 p.m. that he was not feeling well after he had smoked too much weed and would not make it over to the celebration. The bodies were found just before 6 p.m. that day. Hood will be advised on charges on Tuesday. Over to the celebration. What is it? They have a party or something? So, Elijah Hood, what a fucking Jesus Christ, huh? Arrested without incident. Interesting. How when it comes to your, flesh and blood, you're fucking, goddamn John Rambo. When it comes to motherfucking the police, though, you're just like, here's a couple reasons why people are evil. It's too hard to think. Maybe he just wanted to rob everybody. There's a party or something, so he's looking at $100. Power by terrorism is better than no power at all. To exploit others. Sadism, the miserable need to make others miserable. Misery loves company. Misery loves company. Now, I want a little bit more verification. You can't just arrest somebody and say this is the person and then that's it. You need, some sort of evidence. But I do feel like that's, a big major step in the case. And perhaps we could look at the other cases. You still have Alejandro Salas, Abel Acosta, and Paul Anthony Delgado, who's at large, wanted and at large. Samuel Archuleta, too. Also the killers of Josh Martinez and William Butson out of Pueblo, Colorado. The killers of of Vetho Marcus Fennel Vigil. Also in Pueblo, also the killers of Manuel Michael Zigarelli, the killers of Fred Joseph Guerin, the killers of Lawrence Trujillo, 33-year-old Lawrence Trujillo in Pueblo, the killer of Juan Herrero Lozano, the killers of Rodolfo Reyes and Ryan Joe Roth are still at large. The killer of Wesley Rosander, 54, attorney, father of two. He was following his own car, trying to chase the man for stealing his car, got shot up and killed, and nobody can find anything. The killers of Dominic and Gage Solano, they were killed at a skate park in Colorado Springs. They are still at large. Awesome.